Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. It is Wednesday, the 9th of July. Thank you for joining me. We're tracking another big low out in the Tasman Sea. It is starting to develop at the moment. A few thunderstorms, mostly offshore, but some of them are coming in close to the top of the country here. So you never know, you might get an isolated downpour or two as this starts to move in. Remember, there's still a lot of high pressure out to the east in this sort of grey area. So even though there is a large system out here, it's running into this invisible brick wall. And so there's a lot of cloud around the country, not necessarily raining for everybody, but fairly cloudy around New Zealand. Here it is on the big picture. So you can see that massive block of high pressure still in charge, and that stretches all the way up to north of the country. So that is holding that low pressure back. Now the low at the same time as it's moving towards us is being caught into other low pressure south of New Zealand, and that's going to help drag that Tasman Sea system further away from us. So we end up with a burst of windier weather. That's what we've seen in some places today, and it's mild with that airflow coming out of the subtropics. We don't really see the frost risk coming back in over the next few days ahead. So let's make sense of that. Here's Thursday. Low pressure certainly is dominating the southeast corner of Australia. Plenty of cold air coming in. There'll be a dusting of snow. We've got another video out today about what's happening there, but I bring that up because that is the beginning of what is about to move our way. So it's kind of a new system, not the low that you just saw on the satellite imagery. So we've got a few showers around on Thursday, a bit of patchy kind of rain here and there. There might be an isolated heavy fall in the north, tropical airflow coming down, so that's why the overnight temperatures tonight will be going up on where they've been for the past few days. By Friday, we've got the risk of severe weather. Now, this is not as big and as stormy as the previous 2 weeks have been with the low pressure systems that have come on through. But again, a chance of some thunderstorms as the front comes into the top of the country and the top of the South Island and the western side of the country. And then on top of the rain and the possible isolated thunderstorms, you've got the strong winds. So gale force winds, maybe severe gale in some parts of the North Island and maybe some parts of the south, but the North Island looks a little bit more exposed. It's a north to northwesterly wind as it comes on through. So the rain clouds sort of push through across the day. And remember, again, it's slowed down by the big block of high pressure that is east of New Zealand. So into the weekend, large area of low pressure. By the way, this was actually in our Climate Watch video out a couple of weeks ago, talking about how low pressure was going to be quite dominant as we go into the middle of the month. And sure enough, here we are as we do that. So windy on Saturday, westerly winds or west to northwest winds, so it won't be very cold. Cooler air does come into the South Island, so there'll be a bit of snow up along the mountains there. That's because even though the whole country's got westerlies, the westerly coming through into the South Island is actually coming from south of New Zealand. The whole lot is, but this particular part here in the lower South Island, this is some pretty cold air caught up around this. That's being curved in to that lower part of the country, and that warms up as it moves around for those of you further in the north. But we are going to feel the temperature dropping as we go through the weekend. So sunny or at least dry weather for the eastern part of New Zealand. And by Sunday, no real change in that, but the colder airflow comes in on Sunday. So polar airflow comes right up into the Tasman. I haven't highlighted it today because it's not significant enough to really do so as far as New Zealand's concerned. But cold air does come through on Sunday. Temperatures will start to drop even if the wind direction hasn't changed a huge amount. But we're not talking about a big major cold blast here because once more, track the origins of the wind. It's coming out of Australia. So there will be a bit of a temperature change this weekend, nothing too major. And then we kick off next week with lighter winds in many places, clearer skies. Frosty weather may start to return, but it's worth noting the lower South Island, back come the nor'westers. Here's the next wintry surge coming in for the southeast corner of Australia. They have had a number of cold changes coming through, more than we have had over in New Zealand. And then we get to Tuesday and there is the next front. A lot of westerly driven weather coming through. Another cold front zipping in, not a huge amount of rain, could be a couple of isolated thunderstorms though, and then you get that slightly colder change behind it once more. So this is a polar change behind it, but it's westerly driven, so it's not as brutal or as bad as it can be if it's more of a southerly flow. High pressure well to the north up towards the tropics, so that's why we're very much under the Southern Ocean weather systems as we go through the next several days ahead. And that's all from me. I'll be back again tomorrow, Thursday, as we take a closer look at the weekend. I'll see you then.